You feel it, don't you? That low-frequency hum of anxiety that never quite goes away. You see it when you walk into the grocery store and the prices have changed again, not by pennies, but by dollars. You see it in the eyes of your neighbors, a look of quiet desperation, a silent acknowledgement that the ground beneath our feet is no longer solid. They tell you the economy is strong. They show you charts of a booming stock market. The news anchors smile their plastic smiles and tell you that inflation is cooling, that employment is high, that the soft landing has been achieved. But your gut tells you they are lying. Your gut tells you that we are not living through a rough patch. We are not in a market correction. We are living through the end of the world as we know it. History is not a straight line. It is a circle. It is a wheel that grinds civilizations down into dust and builds them up again. And right now, that wheel has completed a full rotation. We have arrived at the season of winter. We have arrived at the dismantling. Neil Howe and William Strauss called it the fourth turning. A crisis that occurs roughly every 80 years, the length of a long human life. It is the moment when the institutions built by the previous generation decay and collapse, when the social contract is torn up, and when the accumulated debts of a century come due all at once. The last fourth turning gave us the Great Depression and World War II. The one before that gave us the American Civil War. The one before that, the Revolutionary War. Do you see the pattern? But this time, the war isn't just being fought with tanks and drones. The primary battlefield isn't in Ukraine or the Middle East. The battlefield is your bank account. The weapon is the currency itself. This is the fourth turning of finance. And the Great Reset isn't some future conspiracy theory hatched in a Swiss chalet. It is a mathematical inevitability that is happening right now, in real time, while you are distracted by political theater. In this video, we are going to look into the abyss. We are going to expose the mechanics of the trap they have built for you. We are going to look at why the money in your pocket is destined to die, and why the system must crash to be reborn. They want you asleep at the wheel. I need you to wake up. To understand where we are going, you have to understand the clock we are living on. Human beings make the same mistakes over and over again because we forget. We forget the pain of the past because the people who lived through it die. Think about the cycle. The first turning is a high. This happens after a crisis. Institutions are strong. Individualism is weak. Society is unified because it just survived a war. Think of America in the 1950s. The GI Bill. The baby boom. A golden age of production. The second turning is an awakening. The new generation, who didn't fight the war, gets tired of the strict order. They rebel. They want spiritual fulfillment. This was the 1960s and 70s. The Cultural Revolution. The attack on institutions. The third turning is an unraveling. The mood turns cynical. Institutions are weak and distrusted. Individualism is rampant. Its greed is good. It's the dot-com bubble. It's the housing bubble. It's the era where we stop building things and start financializing things. That was the 1990s and the 2000s. And then comes the fourth turning. The fourth turning is the crisis. This is where we are today. In a fourth turning, the problems we swept under the rug during the unraveling can no longer be ignored. The debt we racked up during the party phase, the bill collector is at the door. The institutions we mocked and degraded, they finally break. But here is the specific mechanism that drives the financial fourth turning, the long-term debt cycle. Ray Dalio talks about this extensively, and it aligns perfectly with the Strauss-Howe generation theory. Every 80 years or so, we reach the end of the rope. We reach a point where the debt becomes so massive that it can never physically be paid back. In 1933, the United States had to devalue the dollar against gold to wipe out the debt of the 1920s. In 1971, Nixon closed the gold window, effectively defaulting on our obligations to the world, starting a new cycle of fiat currency. And now we are 50 years into that fiat experiment, and roughly 80 years from the last major restructuring of the global order, Bretton Woods, 1944. The clock has struck midnight. The global economy is currently sitting on over $300 trillion in debt. The United States alone is adding $1 trillion to its debt every 100 days. This is not sustainable. Everyone knows it. The Fed knows it. The Treasury knows it. Even the politicians, in their rare moments of honesty, know it. But they can't stop. Because the moment they stop borrowing, the moment they stop printing, the entire illusion collapses. So, what happens in a fourth turning? The existing order is destroyed. The Great Reset is simply the rebranding of a sovereign default. It is the elite admitting that the game of musical chairs is over, and they are trying to ensure that when the music stops, they are the only ones with a seat. Let's strip away the politics. Let's strip away the culture war. Let's look at the cold, hard math. A government has only 3 ways to pay for its spending: taxation, borrowing, printing. Taxation is politically impossible at the levels needed. You could tax every billionaire in America at 100%. Take every dime Musk and Bezos have, and it would run the U.S. government for maybe a few months. The deficit is too big. Borrowing is becoming impossible. Why? Because to borrow, someone has to buy your debt. They have to buy your treasury bonds. But who wants to buy U.S. debt that pays 4% interest when inflation is eating 5% or more of the value every year? Foreign nations are dumping U.S. debt. China is selling. Japan is selling. That leaves only one option. The option of the desperate. The option of the dying empire. Printing. This is the trap. If the Federal Reserve raises interest rates to fight inflation, they bankrupt the U.S. government, which has to pay interest on its $34 trillion debt. If rates are 5%, the interest payments alone consume the entire tax revenue of the country. The military? Gone. Social Security? Gone. But if they lower interest rates to save the government, they unleash a tsunami of inflation that destroys the middle class. They are trapped in a room with 2 doors. Door number 1, immediate, deflationary collapse. The Great Depression 2.0. Banks fail. Supply chains halt. Chaos. Door number 2, hyperinflationary decay. They print the money to pay the bills, devaluing the currency until a loaf of bread costs $100. In every fourth turning throughout history, when faced with this choice, governments always choose door number 2. They always choose inflation. Why? Because deflation is immediate pain. It creates riots today. Inflation is a slow boil. It's a hidden tax. It allows them to steal your wealth slowly, day by day, hoping you won't notice until it's too late. This is why the Great Reset is here. They are actively choosing to devalue the currency to wipe out the real value of the debt. They are liquidating you. Think about your savings account. Think about that money you worked 40 hours a week for. If inflation is truly 10%, not the fake CPI number they feed you, and your bank pays you 0.5%, you are losing 9.5% of your life energy every single year. In 10 years, half of your labor is gone, stolen, vaporized into thin air to pay for wars you didn't vote for and bailouts you didn't receive. This is the mechanism of the fourth turning, the transfer of wealth from the productive class to the political class, from the people who work to the people who own the printers. You might be thinking, Shadow, if it's this bad, why hasn't it collapsed yet? Why is the stock market at all-time highs? That is the most dangerous illusion of all. The stock market is not going up because companies are producing more value. The stock market is going up because the dollar is going down. This is called the crack-up boom. It happened in Weimar, Germany in 1923. As the mark collapsed, people rushed to buy anything: stocks, factories, pianos, gold, just to get out of the cash. The stock market soared in nominal terms, while the people starved in the streets. Look around you. We're seeing the cracks in the dam. The bond market. In 2022 and 2023, U.S. Treasuries, supposedly the safest asset in the world, suffered their worst crash in history. This is the bedrock of the global financial system crumbling. The bank failures: Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, First Republic. These weren't isolated incidents. They were tremors. The banking system is sitting on hundreds of billions in unrealized losses. The only reason they haven't all collapsed is because the Fed opened a back door to print money and plug the holes. A temporary patch on a sinking Titanic. The wealth gap. This is a classic fourth turning symptom. The destruction of the middle class. You have a tiny elite at the top who own assets, stocks, real estate, which inflate with the money supply. And you have the masses at the bottom, who own nothing but debt and wages that don't keep up. This polarization drives the social unrest. It drives the political extremism. It's why the country feels like it's on the brink of civil war. It's not just politics. It is the physics of a broken financial system tearing society apart. History tells us that when the wealth gap gets this wide, a correction is inevitable. And that correction is never peaceful. It comes in the form of revolution, war, or a total system reset. The elites know this. They have read the history books. They know the fourth turning is the season of guillotine. So, they are preparing their exit strategy. And their exit strategy is what they call the Great Reset. If the current system, the US dollar, the SWIFT system, fractional reserve banking, is dying, what comes next? In a natural cycle, the collapse would lead to a period of chaos, followed by a return to sound money. Gold, silver, hard assets, a system built on trust and reality. But the powers that be do not want reality. They want control. They are using the crisis of the fourth turning to engineer a transition to a new system, a system that solves their debt problem by enslaving your purchasing power. Enter the CBDC, central bank digital currency. This is the end game of the financial fourth turning. They will tell you it is for your safety. They will tell you it is convenient. They will tell you it will prevent bank runs and stop drug dealers. But what a CBDC actually represents is the total fusion of state and bank. It is programmable money. Imagine a world where your money has an expiration date. Stimulus checks that must be spent within 30 days, or they vanish, to force economic velocity. Imagine a world where your ability to purchase meat, or gasoline, or a plane ticket is limited by your carbon footprint score, automatically deducted from your digital wallet. Imagine a world where dissent is punished not by arrest, but by simply turning off your ability to transact. This is not science fiction. This technology is being piloted right now in China, in Europe, and yes, in the United States. FedNow is the infrastructure. The crisis, the next banking collapse, the next pandemic, the next war, will be the excuse to deploy it. The current system has failed, they will scream. The dollar is unstable. We need a new, safe, digital solution to save the economy. And the frightened masses, desperate for stability in the chaos of the fourth turning, will line up to sign their freedom away for a digital ration card. But there is a flaw in their plan, a variable they didn't account for. Human nature, and the parallel rise of a true alternative. While the West is distracted trying to build a digital prison, the rest of the world is building a life raft. You have to look outside the bubble of Western media. If you watch CNN or BBC, you think the whole world is united against Russia, or that the American empire is as strong as ever. But look at the data. Look at the flows of physical wealth. For 50 years, the United States had a superpower, the petrodollar. We had a deal with Saudi Arabia. We protect you. You price oil in dollars. This meant that every nation on earth had to hold dollars to buy energy. It created artificial demand for our currency, allowing us to print money without immediate inflation. We exported our inflation to the world. That deal is dead. Saudi Arabia is now trading oil in yuan. India is buying oil in rupees. The BRICS alliance is expanding, representing over 40% of the global population and a larger share of GDP, PPP, than the G7. Why does this matter to you in Ohio, or Manchester, or Lagos? Because when the world stops needing dollars to trade, those dollars come home. Trillions of dollars currently held by foreign central banks will be dumped. They will flood back into the domestic U.S. economy. And when that happens, we will see the true face of the fourth turning, hyperinflation. The East is preparing for this. Look at the central bank gold buying statistics. China, buying record amounts of gold. Russia, hoarding gold. India, Turkey, Singapore, buying gold. Why? Because they know the dollar system is a game of musical chairs, and the music is stopping. They are trading paper promises for physical reality. They are trading debt for atoms. They are preparing for a post-dollar world, a world where he who has the gold makes the rules. And right now, the West has the debt, and the East is taking the gold. This is the geopolitical divorce, the separation of the financialized West from the resource-based East. And in a war between financial derivatives and actual oil, food, and commodities, commodities win every time. So where does that leave you? You are standing on the deck of the Titanic. The band is playing the soft landing. The captain is telling you the ship is unsinkable, but you can feel the list. You can see the water rising. You have two choices. Stay on the ship and hope the government saves you. Digital ID, CBDCs, UBI. Find a lifeboat. In previous fourth turnings, the lifeboats were limited. You could bury gold in your backyard, maybe. Buy a farm. But in the digital age, we have a new variable, a new weapon against the debasement. Gold is the defense of the past. It is God's money. It has survived every empire, every dictator, and every failed currency for 5,000 years. It is the ultimate insurance policy. It is heavy, it is physical, and it is real. If the grid goes down, gold is still gold. Bitcoin is the defense of the future. It is the first time in human history that we have a money that is scarce, only 21 million ever. Portable, you can carry $1 billion in your head. Unconfiscatable, if you hold your own keys. The establishment hates Bitcoin not because it's volatile or used by criminals. They hate it because it is an exit door. It is a way for you to opt out of their inflation. It is a way to store your labor in a battery that doesn't leak energy. When BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, the very architects of a system, suddenly starts buying Bitcoin, you need to pay attention. They aren't doing it because they love freedom. They are doing it because they see the math. They know the dollar is doomed. They are hedging their bets. They are building their own lifeboats while telling you to stay in your seat. This is the great divergence. The smart money is moving into hard assets, real estate, farmland, gold, Bitcoin. The dumb money is staying in cash and bonds, getting eaten alive by inflation. Which side are you on? I want to be clear. The fourth turning is not the end of the world. It is the end of an era. Winter is harsh. Winter kills the weak. Winter destroys the dead wood so that the forest can regrow. We're going to see things in the next decade that will shock us. We will see major governments default. We will see currencies vanish overnight. We will see social upheaval that makes 2020 look like a dress rehearsal. It will be scary. There will be panic. But for those who are prepared, it is also the greatest opportunity in 80 years. Wealth is never destroyed. It is merely transferred. In the 1920s Weimar inflation, the middle class was wiped out. But those who held foreign currencies or gold ended up owning half the country. During the Great Depression, fortunes were made by those who had cash and courage when everyone else was selling. This is your mission. You are not just trying to survive. You are trying to position yourself to be the architect of the next turning. The first turning, the spring, will come. It always does. After the debt is wiped away. After the corrupt institutions fall. After the pain forces us to return to reality, to hard work, to community, to sound money. A new order will be built. But who will build it? Will it be built by the same technocrats who drove us into this ditch? Or will it be built by us? The people who saw it coming? The people who preserved their wealth, their values, and their independence? The fourth turning is not a prophecy. It is a diagnosis. The symptoms are visible to anyone with eyes to see. The Great Reset is their plan for you. To own nothing and be happy. To be a renter in a feudal digital state. But you have the power to reject that contract. You reject it by getting out of debt. You reject it by learning a skill that cannot be automated. You reject it by building strong local communities that don't rely on the state. And you reject it by moving your wealth out of their dying currency and into assets that have no counterparty risk. The storm is here. The waves are crashing against the hull. Don't wait for the captain to save you. Don't wait for the election to change things. Grab the wheel.